You're listening to the Quint's podcast.
Imagine waking up to a new year and finding yourself on sale. Your photograph has been used without your permission on an app where you're listed for an online auction. That's exactly how more than 100 Muslim women in India were greeted into the new year. On 1st January 2022, Muslim women with significant social media following, including several activists and journalists, found themselves being auctioned off by anonymous accounts through a webpage on GitHub called Bully Buy. Screenshots shared by some of the targets show their photos and Twitter handles being shared along with a message, quote-unquote, your bully buy for the day. But as disturbing as this experience is, unfortunately it's the second time in less than 6 months that such a despicable thing has happened where women have been targeted for their religious and gender identities without a single arrest being made in connection to any of the incidents. As the repeated offence raked up massive outrage on social media platforms once again, the app was taken down. In terms of police action so far, Delhi and Mumbai cyber teams have filed separate FIRs against unknown persons with charges of sexual harassment, intentions to insult the modesty of a woman, promoting enmity on grounds of religion, and imputations prejudicial to national integration. The Delhi police has also sought information from Twitter about the account that first tweeted about the Bully Buy app and information about the app developer from GitHub. But does all this inspire confidence given the police's inaction in the first incident? Is it the same inaction that has emboldened the culprits for a repetition of such a misogynistic and Islamophobic harassment at a time when attacks on minorities are at an all-time high in the country? In this episode, you'll hear from Arshi Qureshi and Fatima Khan, who were both targeted in the Bully Buy app as they narrate their harrowing experience. We will also be speaking to cyber policy and cybersecurity experts, Apar Gupta, the Executive Director of Internet Freedom Foundation, and Karan Saini, who is a Bengaluru-based security analyst, to understand what course of action should the police be ideally taking, how exactly GitHub functions, and where is the accountability. You're tuned in to The Big Story, the podcast where we dissect the headline-making news for you. I'm your host, Shalbari. Only about 6 months back on 4th July 2021, news had broken on Sulli Deals, an app and website that had taken photos of women from the public domain to create their profiles on the app, describing them to be quote-unquote deals of the day once a user opened the app. Sulli or Sulla are derogatory words used to describe Muslims in slang. And Bully Buy, which works similarly, is understood to be a spin on that derogatory term. Both the apps were created and used on GitHub, which is a hosting platform with a repository of open source codes. However, in the second app, Punjabi language was used in the interface. While there were no actual auctions or buying or selling taking place in either of these apps, it's the fetishization of Muslim women and Islamophobia bundled together that is at the core of such a kind of harassment, Arshi Qureshi says. She was one of those who were targeted in the Bully Buy app.
So it was 1st January, 1st January. And I thought I'll start a new article, honestly. So I opened my laptop, I went on Twitter, so I saw my name being retweeted, saw the notifications. So when I went through it, so there was, this person has tweeted saying the list of handles under this tweet are the people who've been mentioned in this Bully Buy app. So first I did not understand. So I just scrolled through my Twitter. Then I saw Ismat's tweet. Then again I went back to that tweet. Then I just kept seeing, I was kind of processing what's going on right now. Then I texted this person, do you have any proof? So he said, yeah, I archived it. Then he sent it to me. Okay, these are the list of. So he sent me the screenshot of this. Sent me the link. Then I saw that, and my name was there. So then I realized, okay, this has happened. So I felt really numb. I called up my friend because I just wanted to rant, not rant also. I just wanted to tell someone. So I called her up and I told her this has happened. And I was trying to process. My hands were actually numb. And the entire day I couldn't, I had to submit my report. But the entire day I couldn't because I was trying to just figure out what's happening. And at the back of my mind, my first thing was, I hope my parents don't find about this. I mean, that will be scary. I just don't want my parents, because of course they do not kind of understand how it goes on. So, yeah. I would say, like, this is my personal opinion, they're kind of threatened. So when it comes to Muslim women being vocal, see, a Muslim woman is seen with a different lens. Majority, like the majority sees them, even the minority. I mean, I'm saying that most people see them more submissive and veiled, because that's the way they've been portrayed since centuries, in movies, in serials, in whatever, that in international movies they're portrayed in a certain way. And when, like, certain people see them, okay, this woman is speaking out, and we are speaking out in the current state of the country, the way minorities are treated, we are speaking out against the atrocities. So this is not the first time. Like, of course I get DMs saying, like, they abuse me and everything, they say a lot of things, but that won't stop us. So this is the thing that threatens them, that how can a Muslim woman speak? It's about patriarchy.
The Quint's journalist Fatima Khan was targeted both times. The first time around, she says, a lot of those who were targeted were women who were vocal about opinions on the state or issues pertaining to hate crimes against the Muslim community. She believes that Sulli deals was an attempt to silence them. But the second instance, Bulli Bai, points to a blatant anti-Muslim crime, she says.
See, last time what I realized was that pretty much all the women on the list were people who were, either journalists or activists, or just people with a kind of a vocal opinion of things happening around the world, especially when it comes to hate crimes against Muslims. And they were very vocal, and they made sure that they have a public presence. This time, I don't think that's necessarily the case. A lot of women who, later reached out to me, and they were really, really hapless and just really panicky about the whole thing. And they were like, we haven't even put out a tweet ever. We pictures, we don't know what's happening. So I think this time the intention last time I felt like the clear intention was to say that, look, you're a vocal Muslim woman and you're not allowed to have these kind of opinions. This goes against the very stereotype or the imagery that they have actively propagated and built up, the Indian state, as well as the media, as well as everyone complicit in this thing, that, okay, Muslim women are supposed to be oppressed. They're not supposed to have a voice. They are not supposed to have opinions. And even worse off, that, they are oppressed inside their homes. They're beaten up by their husbands or fathers. That's the kind of image that has been actively propagated. So this kind of went against that. So in order to counter that, this was a good way to say, shut up, stay in your lane. This time, I think they've kind of gone ahead, and I don't know what, if they used an algorithm of some sort, but pretty much, I mean, any Muslim woman with a Twitter account in and around Delhi NCR, even outside Bombay, Bengal, everywhere, they found themselves on the list. So it is, I think, in a very real sense, an anti-Muslim hate crime, where they're also sending out a message to Muslim families and Muslim households. And I'm afraid, I'm scared of the repercussions that this may have inside, people's homes or people's lives, people's livelihoods, people's jobs, because this can have a very chilling effect.
When Fatima found herself being quote-unquote auctioned on Sulli deals in July 2021, it had left her tangibly traumatized. But finding her photos on sale on Bulli Bai again for the second time made her feel demoralized. This especially given the police's poor track record with the investigation around Sulli deals.
Last time was actually just so much more traumatizing, because I was away from home and family, and I was on this very difficult assignment, and I saw it, and I almost felt like violently ill. I started puking, and it was just a bad thing the whole time. Interestingly, this time around, I found out a day before the rest of the world did. So I think on 31st is when that Twitter handle, started tweeting individual screenshots of the various women on the list. And on 31st, I saw it, and because that account had tagged me, I saw it, and because I was in the last list as well, I had kind of gone through the whole rigmarole one whole time, and I kind of, honestly, by this time was really frustrated and exhausted, because it was just a really long, exhausting process last time that led to nothing. And it was very demoralizing. So this time when I saw it, I was like, oh God, not again. And Frankly, I just did not have it in me to even outrage. I was just so done beyond any kind of like energy left in me to even tweet it out. So I was just, it's unfortunate, but part of me was just hoping that, this is just one or tweets and this account will delete it and it will be the end of it. And, uh, it won't end up becoming a whole thing. But of course, it got picked up the next day. Some of the other women on the list saw it and they tweeted about it, and rightly so. And that's when I kind of realized that everyone started speaking about it, and I should put out something too. Because I feel like as journalists or anyone in that list, not everyone in that list has a following or even like a public platform or a voice per se, or familial or just social conditions that are conducive to them speaking up. So I felt like, of course, I have that, and I'm privileged enough to have that. So I should make a point and I should say something about it.
And this feeling of demoralization or the lack of expectation from police investigations has been echoed by several women who've been targeted in this app. As the Delhi police tweeted informing that it has taken cognizance of the matter, Hasiba, a Twitter user who was targeted both times, tweeted saying, quote, Delhi police had filed an FIR in May with you, but you've done absolutely nothing. Now they're back with this. Good job protecting women. Will you do anything now at least? End quote. Nabia Khan, another Twitter user, said, quote, you have never provided me a copy of the FIR registered on my complaint against the violation of my dignity and crimes committed against me. I'm still waiting for it. It's been 5 months already. What action will you take this time? End quote. Hiba Beg wrote, quote, you did nothing to stop the last time and here it is again. I've censored myself. I hardly speak here anymore. But still I'm being sold online. I'm being made deals out of. End quote. And perhaps the anger against the police is not unjustified, given that far from speedy action to protect women in the digital space, even 6 months after the Sulli deals incident, not a single arrest has been made. FIRs had been filed, accounts connected to the derogatory posts were deactivated, the NCW had taken suo motu cognizance of the episode, GitHub was sent a notice and asked to share IP address of the web page and details about the registrant, and then nothing. The whole matter died down without any of the perpetrators ever being caught or punished. Why hasn't a single culprit been caught? Fatima believes that this has been a pattern in crimes against minorities where perpetrators have enjoyed a certain kind of impunity.
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious why. I feel like across the last couple of years, any and every Muslim hate crime has been anti-Muslim hate crime has been dealt with a certain way, which is the accused or the people who actively boast about perpetrating that hate crime, they enjoy a certain level of impunity. And I think that impunity is at the crux of all of this. I feel like we can keep tagging police handles and we can keep making all the noise, and we should. I feel like as citizens, we cannot give up on that. But I don't have much hope.
When the Quint reached out to GitHub, the response was the exact same as the last time. I'm reading it out for you. Quote, GitHub has long-standing policies against content and conduct involving harassment, discrimination, and inciting violence. We suspend a user account following the investigation of reports of such activity, all of which violate our policies. End quote. But is that an adequate response? How does GitHub function and where does accountability come in its policies? We take that question to Karan Saini, a Bengaluru-based security analyst, since this is the second instance that the platform has been used to perpetrate online harassment. He explains that while the platform does have automated moderation, it's not the same kind of moderation that social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter have, but given these instances of online harassment, accountability for user safety is something that the platform must look into.
Yeah, so GitHub functions just as any other online platform would. They are, they do have moderation on the website, which is automated. Obviously, not the same kind of moderation that you would have on social media platforms like, say, Twitter or Facebook. And more so, their moderation deals with, say, aspects of malicious files, like, files which have signatures that are known to be malicious, say maybe ransomware, for instance, or if someone puts leaked source code on GitHub, For instance, I believe Microsoft, who owns GitHub, their own source code was leaked and then put onto GitHub by someone on their own repository, and then Microsoft was obviously quick to take it down. So I would say the kind of takedown requests that GitHub feels usually have to do with maybe copyright infringement or data security, and uh, not as much as say with user safety or like safety of the people of a particular say background. So I would say this is definitely probably not the kind of moderation that GitHub is used to or has ever even had to like put in place. um, so in terms of accountability, this is going to be something that they're going to have to address if it keeps happening again. Obviously, um, with the project, sorry, wait. So obviously with the website that we saw, someone did point out that it's the same source code as the previous website when this happened last year, I believe. Um, so the second iteration was obviously built off of the first one as well. And that might hint to say some like the same people being behind both websites. Um, and yeah, it's I mean, I would say it's a curious challenge for GitHub to tackle, because usually their platform is not abused in this particular way.
Coming to the police action now in Bulli-Bai, as I've said earlier, based on the complaint of a journalist, the Delhi police filed an FIR. Union IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has also said that the central government is working with police organizations in Mumbai and Delhi in this matter, but the police's slow actions haven't gone unnoticed. The Delhi Commission for Women, which has issued summons to the Delhi police, noted that, quote, "It is appalling that no persons have been arrested in the Sulli deal matter by Delhi police despite passage of several months. This callous attitude of the law enforcement agency has emboldened the culprits." End quote. They've also sought details of the accused and reasons for not arresting them, along with details of the actions taken against GitHub. Now, the Delhi police has sought information from both Twitter and GitHub about the users and app developers, as it should. But can no action be taken until GitHub responds with user information and IP addresses? 3 Twitter handles at first share the Bulli-Bai information. Is the cyber cell not equipped to track these down? Apar Gupta, founder of Internet Freedom Foundation, explains why he believes that police action in both the cases has been deficient.
The reliance by Delhi police on the repeated inaction by GitHub to provide user account information, which would be like the IP address, which helps them locate these people, is I think it's a deficient response, given that GitHub has a very clear policy with respect to requests for law enforcement seeking user account information, which needs to be done as per a process which is called MLAT, Multilateral Legal Assistance Treaty. So they essentially provide information when law enforcement departments coordinate with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which then sends a request to such kind of organizations. And this is done quite frequently by police departments. The second issue which I would like to bring up is that the Delhi police has registered a deficient FIR. So the FIR it is registered on the Sulli deals instance is only for offences of obscenity and outraging the modesty of women. However, there are elements of hate speech also present, given that specific members of specific Muslim women who are members of a minority have been targeted in order to dehumanize Muslim women much more broadly. So I would say it's a weak FIR which has been filed. So on these two instances, I think there is sufficient basis for the assertion that the Delhi police is not properly investigating this case itself. One more thing which is relevant to add is that the National Commission for Women as well as the Delhi Commission for Women have issued repeated notices to the Delhi police to file action taken reports on what they are doing. And usually this should be done, right? Because from July till date, we do not have a clear status of how the investigation is proceeding, even beyond what has been requested from GitHub. So we know to a certain degree of public knowledge that there were also certain Twitter accounts which were associated. Have details been sought from Twitter? When have they been sought? What details have been provided, etc., etc. Have similar requests been made to GoDaddy, where a domain which was registered with this domain registrar, GoDaddy.com, and again, the reliance essentially, which is there by police sources, that it is asked for details from GitHub. It needs to be a notice under the Criminal Procedure Code to share the IP addresses of the web page, etc., through the MLAT process, and that's not being done.
As Mr. Gupta points out, in both the instances, there's no clarity on what actions the police or the government have taken exactly to investigate these cases. Since GitHub is headquartered out of India, it is governed under the Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty, or the MLAT. And as we understand, any legal route will have to be taken under this process. But again, we don't know if the MLAT has been invoked or not. Secondly, we don't know if the new digital rules that were brought about by the Centre to prevent crime against women and children were invoked by the government or not. These rules, as we know, mandate intermediaries to identify users hosting offensive content within 24 hours. And previously, the government has been accused of exercising this power contentiously in a lot of cases. But we don't know if the same rules were invoked in this instance where actual harassment of women is involved. But what is the route that the law enforcement agencies can actually take in this regard? Mr. Gupta weighs in.
There's not only tracking down, there are a whole range of policing functions which can be performed to prevent such incidences from occurring. It could be as simple as the Delhi police tweeting out at a regular basis that any kind of targeting of women from offering them for auction is an illegal activity which will face stern action. This will provide not only comfort to women, it will also provide a certain degree of deterrence to potential offenders. Secondly, the Delhi police does not need to wait to act when things are brought to its notice. And in fact, even with the Sulli deals instance, there was a substantial delay between the first reports, which were on social media, then mainstream news reports, and then towards the filing of a FIR. This becomes especially important because there's specific staffing within the Delhi police which has a cybercrime cell at Dwarka to investigate these incidences. The third thing I'll mention here, which also needs to be done, is there needs to be prosecution of people who are identifiable, who are issuing threats and also engaging in activities which are illegal under quite often against Muslim women. One such act has in fact been noticed in a letter by Rekha Sharma, who is the chairperson of the National Commission of Women, in a letter dated 17th of August 2021. In which paragraph 2 she says that the commission has taken suo motu cognizance of the media post caption so-and-so reported by Lalan Top on 13 July, wherein it was identified that two persons, namely Shingi Yadav and Krunal Sharma, were posting derogatory remarks for Muslim women openly on various social media platforms, including Instagram. Now, this is a letter which has been sent to Instagram's public policy officer. However, this incident on Instagram and the statement by Rekha Sharma evidences that the police can easily identify offenders, given that media news publications are already doing it. So I think a larger environment of safety now needs to be created. Otherwise, women will feel very scared from participating on social media platforms and voicing their opinions.
Evidently, there's a lot of action that the police can take to stop such acts. But will it be able to restore faith in its probe? If you like listening to this episode, please subscribe to the Big Story playlist for episodic updates. We're live on Apple, Google Podcast, Spotify, JioSaavn, and most of the other popular podcast streaming platforms. For other podcasts, please log on to the Quint website and check out the podcast section. For any feedback, shoot an email to podcasts@thequint.com.
Thanks for listening. Log on to the Quint's website and check out our other podcasts.